John Deere, one of America's most iconic companies, just dropped some news that left everyone stunned, even former President Donald Trump. The company announced plans for major job cuts in the US as it shifts more of its production to Mexico. Seriously, what's happening with John Deere? This is the same company that recently frustrated farmers by locking the software in their tractors, forcing them to wait for a company technician to handle even minor repairs. And now, out of nowhere, they're in the spotlight again with another move that's stirring up controversy and might backfire big time. So, what's really going on at John Deere? John Deere just announced plans to move more of its production to Mexico, with the shift set to be completed by 2026. This move will include the production of mid-frame skid steer loaders and compact track loaders at the new plant. This follows a similar announcement from 2022, when the company decided to move tractor cab production to Mexico, blaming a tight labor market for the change. It seems like John Deere is really pushing the buttons of the American public, the very people who helped build the company into what it is today. Not long ago, the company found itself in hot water again for sticking to policies that seemed to favor its bottom line while leaving farmers at a disadvantage. Picture this: a farmer has to wait for a John Deere technician to fix an issue with their tractor because the company won't let them make the repairs themselves. Farmers have said they sometimes have to wait days for these technicians to show up. Meanwhile, millions of dollars in crops are at risk, all because of a policy that seems designed to help the company pocket even more money from repair fees. After facing a growing wave of complaints, legal battles, and backlash from farmers, the company finally started to ease up a bit on its strict stance. If you thought John Deere was only upsetting farmers in the US, think again. The company is now making enemies out of its own employees. They've announced layoffs at some of their local production plants as they move operations to Mexico. It didn't take long for more details to emerge, and it turns out the issue is bigger than we thought. Around 300 workers at the company's Iowa and Illinois plants are set to lose their jobs. These cuts bring the total number of employees laid off in 2024 to over 2,100, all part of the company's plan to shift production to Mexico. Once again, John Deere isn't being totally upfront about the real reason behind these huge job cuts. They've denied that the layoffs are tied to moving production to Mexico. Instead, they've tried to shift the blame, claiming the cuts are due to a drop in demand for tractors and other agricultural equipment. The company's employees aren't buying the explanation and have voiced their frustration. One employee even went as far as to call the layoffs nothing more than an act of greed, saying, "It feels like we hear about more layoffs every day, and it's causing a lot of uncertainty. The only reason Deere is doing this is greed." It turns out this frustration might actually be justified. Why? Because John Deere isn't exactly struggling financially. In fact, the company has been posting impressive profits for the last 3 years, putting it in a pretty strong financial position. In 2021, John Deere posted a profit of $5.96 billion. The following year, that jumped to $7.13 billion, and by 2023, the company hit an eye-popping $10.1 billion in profit, an increase of about 42% from the year before. On top of that, the company gave its CEO, John May, a massive $26.7 million in total compensation for 2023. This wasn't the first time he raked in a hefty paycheck. In 2022, he walked away with $20.3 million. So, with all these profits, is John Deere really moving operations to Mexico because of financial struggles? Or is it just looking for more ways to cut costs and increase its profits even further? Now, it's not just the employees who are upset about John Deere's decision to move some of its production to Mexico. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has also voiced his strong dissatisfaction with the move. Speaking at a policy roundtable in Smithton, Pennsylvania, hosted by the Protecting America Initiative, Trump didn't hold back in expressing his disapproval. He went so far as to threaten John Deere with serious consequences if he were to win the presidency. Trump made it clear that he was committed to protecting American jobs and industries, and he promised to take action against companies that move production overseas, especially when it resulted in job losses for American workers. Fast forward to the 2024 election, and Trump was indeed elected president. His victory has left many wondering whether he will follow through on his threat to John Deere. With the power of the presidency behind him, Trump now has the authority to enact policies that could directly challenge companies like John Deere, which have been shifting operations to Mexico for cheaper labor. Given his track record of prioritizing American manufacturing and labor, it's possible that he could push for new trade policies, tariffs, or other measures aimed at curbing offshoring and encouraging companies to bring production back to the United States. Trump's statement was part of his promise to protect the local economy from the effects of outsourcing, with tariffs becoming a central theme of his economic policy. Now, it looks like John Deere might need to reconsider its strategy, as Trump's comments are already having an impact. On the day of his announcement, the company's shares dropped more than 1.5% in after-hours trading, despite having closed the day up by 0.75%. So, is Trump's threat to John Deere justified? We'll lay out the facts and let you decide for yourself. We've already seen how John Deere has cited financial reasons for shifting some production to Mexico. But here's the thing, over the past 2 decades, the company has spent more than $43 billion on stock buybacks and dividends. With such generous payouts to investors, it's clear that the company has plenty of profit to spare and is more than capable of keeping those jobs in the United States. If that doesn't convince you, consider this. Experts predict that John Deere's earnings will grow by more than 8% over the next 5 years. This level of growth is more than enough to keep the company financially strong and, in turn, ensure that every production plant in the US stays open and every employee remains secure in their job. John Deere's decision to shift some of its production to Mexico is largely driven by the fact that Mexico offers much cheaper labor compared to the US. By moving operations there, the company can take advantage of lower wages for workers, which significantly cuts down production costs. Additionally, Mexico's proximity to the United States allows John Deere to import steel at a lower cost, further reducing manufacturing expenses. Once the tractors are made, they can be shipped across the border and sold to American consumers at a significant markup, increasing profits for the company. This move, however, has raised a lot of questions about the company's priorities. The big question now is whether Donald Trump's threat to John Deere is simply a political maneuver aimed at winning the support of union workers and American farmers, who may be upset by the company's shift in production. Trump, as a political figure, could be using this issue to strengthen his base and position himself as a champion for American labor ahead of the November election. However, there's also the possibility that Trump is serious about following through on his threat. If he were to push for and enact a policy that directly impacts John Deere's decision to move production to Mexico, it could force the company to rethink its strategy. This would be a major move, signaling a more aggressive stance on protecting American jobs and industries. Regardless of whether Trump's words are a tactical play or a genuine threat, John Deere's decision is already having consequences. The company risks alienating the very American workers and farmers who have supported it for years. For many of these people, John Deere isn't just a company, they see it as a symbol of American ingenuity and hard work. Losing that trust and support could damage the company's reputation in a way that might not be easy to recover from. Is it possible for Deere to recover if Trump imposes the tariffs? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. See you in the next one.